My name is Matt, and welcome back to the Coffee Bar. And today's actually going to be the first episode of a podcast that I'm recording. It is untitled at the moment. If I have actually named it, you will see it in the title of the video. But really what I'm hoping with this sort of podcast is to talk about various different things in gaming. For the first couple episodes that I'm going to be doing it's going to be over the top of some off-stream gameplay that I did for Pokemon Emerald. And what I'm going to do with this episode is talk about what exactly is the Emerald Project. So, a little bit of background. For about a couple years ago, I think it was like 2 or 3, somewhere in that ballpark. Maybe it was a little bit sooner. I can't recall the exact time frame. I was really getting an itch to play Pokemon Emerald. And I would tell that to some friends. At the time, I was working on a Living Dex, which, side note, found out that I have a small amount of work left to do to officially finish it, but I'll worry about that later. But as I was talking to my friends about wanting to play through Emerald again, I was kind of getting the itch. I'm a very big fan of the Hoenn region, the Pokemon that were introduced. I wanted to sit down and play through Hoenn again. It's one of those Pokemon games that I kind of, in a cycle of about 6 to 7 years, somewhere in that range, I do another playthrough, and then I'll wait a while, and then I'll do another playthrough, and it's kind of a cozy region for me. When I was kind of ramping up into deciding to actually commit and do the playthrough, something that a friend of mine had brought up was, because I've been doing shiny hunting in like Scarlet Violet, Legends ZA, Legends Arceus. Well, the RNG is messed up in the Gen 3 games. Why not go for shinies? And I kind of like, I'm not sure. I don't really know how much it's gonna take to do it. After watching a couple videos on it, I found out that it actually wasn't overly difficult. And so I ended up saying, well, why not do like a shiny Hoenn living Dex while I'm playing through it and just kind of have fun with it. So I started the playthrough, I believe it was October or November of 2024. Jumped in, and it took, just to get everything calibrated so I could actually start shiny hunting, I think it was like 8 days, and I think 10 different save files. So I would start a save file, do some resets. Okay, I'm not calibrated. Start a new playthrough, and just kept doing that until I was finally able to hit my shiny Mudkip, which I might try and drop a picture of it somewhere here on screen. But the first boogeyman is I'm RNG manipulating. And a lot of people who are avid Pokemon shiny hunters, they do the resets and all of that. I commend you all very, very, very much. The dedication that some people go through in order to get the shinies that they're looking for, and the time investment is incredible. I've really only done shiny hunting in the newer games, and I will do some resets, but doing just the thousands and thousands and thousands of resets, after spending so much time trying to work on a living Dex, not even shiny, but a living Dex, it's a time commitment that I cannot give to that. So going into this, I was like, well, I have a way to do it on cart. I'm gonna do it. And all people will say like the value of your shiny is diminished. That's where the Emerald Project really comes into play and allows the value of those shinies to be made in what I'm hoping to do. So that's kind of the basis of what started all of it. So as I'm kind of playing through the Gen 3 game, Emerald specifically, I don't know why I worded it like that. When I was kind of getting into the playthrough, and I'm accumulating shinies. Some were easier to RNG than others. For whatever reason, one of the ones that provided the most problem was Silcoon, dude. Like, I don't understand how or why it was specifically that guy. But, that's just kind of the luck of, like, my trainer ID, secret ID. Some were easier, some were not. So, kind of just playing through, getting the shinies, and a little bit into, I don't remember exactly at what point I had reached in the playthrough, but I had sat down and kind of decided, well, what if I do the Battle Frontier? What if I actually sit down and actually try to get all the gold symbols? I had only ever gotten 2 silver symbols as a kid, and it was the one for the battle arena. That's the facility that I always seem to mix up, but it's the one with Greta, and it looks like the like a Japanese dojo, and then the battle pike with Lucy. And so I'm like, cool. Like I got a couple silver symbols as a kid. It'd be cool to actually sit down and get all the gold symbols. So there's kind of another layer added onto the project. Well, then I built this team of 6 that I hope to kind of rotate through different facilities. Why not Ribbon Master? Why not? Because I'm already going to be getting ribbons for the battle tower. Well, what if I also did the other ribbons? What if I really showed off, it's like, these are the Pokemon that I did this really, really cool thing with? And I assembled the team of 6, which is Swampert, Breloom, Latios, Salamence, Metagross, Milotic. And finally, I've got them all trained up. At the time I'm recording this, I've had them for a little while. I've been able to mess with them a little bit in facilities, which has been great. I've been quite happy with how they've been doing. I've had to make small changes to movesets or held items just as I've been going through, but not anything overly significant or these huge drastic changes. So I have that. So I've already got, complete a shiny Hoendex, which is one aspect of it. Finish, really complete the game. And I think part of why I've been doing the Emerald Project the way that I have been doing is I'm doing what I wish I could have done when I worked on my living decks. When I initially started, and I'm just going to go off on this tangent briefly. When I started the living decks, I was trying to do 2 living dexes. My hubris was a huge... My hubris really got the best of me. So, did the 2, or I was trying to do the 2, got partway through, and dropped one of them. But really part of what I was hoping to do with the living dexes is completion of the games. And I didn't get to do that. So now with this Emerald project is I'm trying to, in some aspect, redo what it was I originally intended with the living decks, but now it's not particularly tied to a larger project. The larger project, if I decide to commit to it, which I'm definitely not going to at this point, which I'll likely touch more on the next episode. But really what the intention is just play this game and really enjoy everything about it. Another thing that kind of fed into this project is it's kind of just a Gen 3 completion sort of run. So I've done a playthrough of Pokemon Colosseum. I have the Mount Battle Ho-Oh. Eventually I'm going to jump into playing through XD Gale of Darkness. That way I can then also transfer the different teams that I want to get the Mount Battle ribbon into XD, do Mount Battle, trade them back, help with the Ribbon Masters, as well as what I've been calling pseudo Ribbon Masters. And those are going to be Pokemon that I used in playthrough teams throughout the Living Dex Living Dex project. And maybe get some more ribbons that maybe I didn't previously, be a little bit more organized coming into it this way, which was a huge downfall for the Living Dex, was I was just not organized at all. Now, at the time of recording this, I'm still three Pokemon away from having at least the Hoenn Living Dex part of this project done. So not a lot left to do, but there's still so much other stuff that I have to work on. I have the XD playthrough. I have all the other Frontier symbols that I've got to work on. Contests are all done. So that takes a significant amount of grinding out. And I want to say, I think ribbon-wise, I think I'm only 1 or 2 away from having the Ribbon Masters done, at least with the Gen 3 games. Another thing that I've kind of added into the Emerald project, and it's kind of to add the value to the shinies, even for the ones that aren't maybe not my favorites, or ones that are just going to kind of sit in the boxes or Pokemon Home. What I would like to do, and I've got part of this done, is I actually encountered Pokerus naturally in the playthrough. I was EV training, I think it was my Mudkip. So I was doing the EV training and picked up Pokerus. It might have been my Mudkip or it might have been somebody else, but regardless, I ended up naturally hitting Pokerus, and that was a huge luck of the draw kind of scenario. Very happy that I pulled it off. And what I would like to be able to do before I transfer everything out of Gen 3 is all of the Pokemon have the Hoenn Champion ribbon and Pokerus. And then once I eventually get them into Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, is be able to get the Hoenn Champion ribbon there, as well as all the Day of the Week ribbons. They're really easy to pick up, and it's nice because you can just batch the ribbons. So you can do 6, run down to the PC, grab Pokemon, go back up with a new batch of 6, and just keep doing that. Like I think that would be really cool, and it just really helps to in a way celebrate the Pokemon that were used in my Hoenn run. so there's also that aspect that I have. For the champion ribbon, I think I'm maybe a third of the way through with like getting the ribbon on everybody. But it's going to be a little bit of a grind. It's going to be some time to get that square. Just to kind of show you some of the like preparation and stuff, or kind of keeping track of what I've been working on is, and this will all be backwards for you guys, but oh wait, no, actually maybe not. This is a sticky note that I have of just all the different things that I'm trying to keep track of. So the one thing that's nice about, as I'm looking through this sticky note, is one of the things that I had written down was doing Mount Battle multiple times to get berries for the berry blending. But one of my homies was super helpful and was able to trade me some of these berries IRL. So I just had to meet up with him. We did some trades. I threw a couple shinies his way that were like duplicates, or I hit the frame incorrectly, but still ended up hitting a shiny frame for something else. I can actually cross off a couple other things because I've gotten all the contests and stuff done. But yeah, ultimately, it's the Emerald Project. If I had to kind of summarize it and talk about it quickly, is a complete playthrough of Pokemon Emerald, Shiny Hoendex, with starting some Ribbon Masters, as well as getting access to some ribbons, as well as Pokerus on everything that I'm transferring out, and being able to kind of show off and flex those Pokemon, and eventually put them in, do cool stuff in like the Gen 4 games, the Gen 5 games, and so on and so forth. Like one of the homies, Moki TCG, who's doing a Ribbon Master run with a shiny Heracross. Just being able to do something cool like that, especially with Pokemon that I hold dear and find to be, just like special in a way to me. That's really what the project is, and it was an excuse to jump back into playing Pokemon Emerald. And I'm not mad about it. There have definitely been some challenges in the project itself. Things like, having to reset for days at a time just to get like a certain Pokemon, or failing this shiny and having to like redo it. And I know some people are gonna kind of take that and kind of ignore it or take it with a grain of salt or whatever, just because I am doing the RNG manipulation. But that is also a time commitment that, while I respect the people who do it because they really get to feel a different rush from seeing those shinies, I want this to be a project that's not going to take me 7 years, and while I have not touched a Pokemon game at the time of recording this, I haven't touched a Pokemon game in a month, aside from one day, maybe 2 weeks ago, where I was just backing up my Emerald save. It's not going to be a quick process, but I don't want this to be a process that's going to take me too terribly long. But whenever I do get back into trying to work on this project and try to get the shinies and stuff like done and get all the ribbons and everything, it'll be good to good to see the project finished. But we're probably running a little bit after, so the gameplay may have expired. But thank you for stopping by and listening to me explain exactly what the Emerald Project is. Hopefully the next episode is going to be a little bit longer. We'll hopefully have a little bit more to talk about, maybe a little bit more variety, a couple topics. But thank you so much for your time. We hope to see you soon. Let me try that again. I hope to see you soon. If you enjoyed, please do hit the subscribe and hit the like button. I don't have a question of the day. Maybe we'll have something like that for the next episode. But before I do go, take care of yourself, be good to one another, and stay safe. We'll see you soon.